everybody.
Hi, Daddy.
Welcome to the Sam and Ryan channel. My name is Sam.
My name is Ryan.
And welcome to another episode of Versus. If you are new here, welcome. We have two people from different backgrounds of sorts, and they come together to answer a bowl of questions. We take turns answering, sharing our perspective, and a lovely conversation ensues, all for your entertainment.
One of our most popular videos to date is a Broadway fan versus a Broadway actor. We loved making that video for you, and we love all of the support that it has gotten. We thought it would be sort of apropos to bring this conversation back around as the March on Broadway has just happened, but also as, barring any, unfortunate, unforeseen events, the pandemic is coming to a close. I just got my second stab. My shoulder really hurts, but people are going to be fully inoculated. This virus is really starting to go away.
Yeah.
God willing. So, it's looking very likely that theaters and subsequently Broadway theaters will reopen, maybe even this year. And as such, we thought now would be a fantastic time to bring this particular subject back for a little Broadway fan versus Broadway actor part 2 action.
Now this time, I'm the Broadway actor.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding.
You've been on Broadway
since... I've been on Broadway since Broadway closed.
Right, wow.
Somehow.
Quite an achievement.
I mean, yeah, I'm the only one.
Yeah. Sounds more like a breaking and entering situation than getting cast, but...
Well, gotta do what you gotta do.
We love a heist.
We do. I, of course, am the Broadway fan.
And I, the Broadway actor.
So, should we just get into it?
Sure. Fan or actor? Who goes first?
Let's go with fan first.
All right.
Considering you've been on Broadway. That feels like, a plus for you. I need this. Who is the all-time fiercest Broadway queen?
I mean, and of course, or king, but let's be honest, is going to be queen.
It's going to be a
yeah.
queen. Now, obviously, there are so many phenomenally talented queens and kings of Broadway, but the first person that comes to mind for me is kind of like the voice of musical theater that got me into it, Sutton Foster. Like, when I was discovering musical theater in middle school, like, Anything Goes was everything to me.
Anything Goes, really, not Thoroughly Modern Millie?
It's actually funny because Forget About the Boy was a song that like all of the girls in middle school choir did for a showcase. And so that was, I think, my first exposure to Sutton Foster. And then from there, Anything Goes, and then Shrek. And I honestly love her as Fiona. Like, she's just a solid triple threat. Singing, acting, dancing.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching her dance.
Yeah.
Her Tony performance in Anything Goes is really, really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's just like an all-around queen to me.
No, and you did a good job of addressing this, and just for everyone who's already like clenching their fists, these are just subjective opinions.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many to choose from, and there are so many who are fantastic, and there are classics. I mean, we can talk about Babs and Ethel and Patty. I mean, obviously, like, so, this is sort of an unanswerable question, but calm down if you like think we're wrong, or like, how could you evoke Sutton in the name of, just chill. The first person who came to mind for me, Cynthia Erivo.
Yes.
And like, this woman got Tonys, Grammys, Emmys, 2 Oscar nominations. Like, she is just an inch away from that EGOT status. People obviously aren't sleeping on Cynthia Erivo. She's incredibly successful and incredibly famous, but like, people are sleeping on Cynthia Erivo. Like, she is a goddess. So she's my all-time queen.
Your turn. Mr. Broadway star. Do you like it when I call you a Broadway star?
Well, I'm offended that I wasn't your Broadway queen.
You are my Broadway queen.
Yas, gender non-conforming term for royalty, queen.
Queen.
Like and subscribe. What has the pandemic revealed to you about Broadway as a whole?
Quite.
I mean, I think an effect of the pandemic overall has been showing us, whether we're talking about Broadway or vaccine distribution or stimulus checks or health and wellness resources, jobs. I mean, it kind of seems like the pandemic displayed even more harshly than was already on display, just how disenfranchised so many people are by systemic failures that are propped up by a very small group of incredibly rich and powerful people. And I think as far as branches of entertainment go, Broadway has done a pretty good job, but no institution is perfect, and I think the pandemic gave a lot of people a lot of time to not be employed, to be far away from it, and to speak from within the community of like, no, actually, we still have a lot of work to do. You know, there's a lot of like Broadway for racial justice organizations going on, and I think a lot of those points are very well taken, as they are in every sect of society.
Yeah.
All of the stuff going on with Scott Rudin right now, you know, I don't think that he's been accused of being like overtly sexual in some way, but it sort of seems like Scott Rudin is the Broadway Weinstein.
Yeah, just an abuse of power.
And also just an abusive person.
Yes.
He's incredibly powerful, and he's been in charge of making a lot of great art, and I'm glad that art exists, and I'm glad that he's gone. You know, he's stepping back and taking some time to think and whatever, but
and has officially been removed from the Broadway League.
Right. But you know, I've seen a lot of Broadway stars speak out about these things, and you know, they have the ability to, because they aren't employed. None of us are.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that continues as Broadway reopens, where it's just like, no, like all of that stuff, that wasn't just like, oh, I'm just going to be an activist for a year.
Yeah.
Like, we're taking this forward. Broadway has changed now. I mean, especially because, and again, I know that I've said this a few times, but like, I see no reason why Broadway couldn't be back right now. But so many selfish, greedy, and already incredibly rich producers are saying, we're not opening until we can open at full capacity. That's frustrating and saddening, but also has been revealed, I think, or at least highlighted by the pandemic.
Yeah, I think everything that you said is definitely true. For me, from my perspective, I think the biggest thing that's been highlighted about Broadway during the pandemic is how badly people need it.
Yeah.
Not only did it reveal how many people are employed by Broadway, in a production, from the theater ushers to the actors to the stagehands to the orchestra. I think a lot of people, a lot of fans and consumers of Broadway kind of got a glimpse into oh, this is an entire industry that is shut down right now. But it also revealed how much the audience of all these Broadway shows is willing to continue to support people while they're out of work during this time, or support Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. They just had a really successful fundraiser.
Absolutely.
And you know how eager Broadway fans are to consume any amount of Broadway content during this time. So it's everyone's tuning into all of these virtual concerts, virtual fundraisers, taking your classes.
Absolutely.
Like the Broadway community is a very loving community that is very eager to support people that they love. And so it's been really great for me as a Broadway fan to see other Broadway fans continuing to try and support an industry that's been out of business for the past year.
Right.
What's something that never went to Broadway that you think should? I bet you're never going to guess what my answer is. Now, first thing that obviously comes to mind is Heathers. I think Heathers should have gone to Broadway. I think, they could have used a new set designer or something in the transition, but they would have had the money to do it, or if they would have had the money to do it, I think Heathers would have been great on Broadway. Now, my only note here is I don't think Heathers can go to Broadway anymore. We've talked about this a lot on this channel. I just don't think that Heathers can exist on that scale in the US. But I wish Heathers would have gone to Broadway when it was an off-Broadway show. Another show that I actually didn't know never went to Broadway until very recently, The Last 5 Years.
The last 5 years was never on Broadway?
Was never on Broadway, which is shocking to me because it's so beautiful and the music is amazing and it's so talked about. Not off-Broadway shows are never talked about, i.e. Heathers, but yeah. The last 5 years never went to Broadway. So I would love to see that on Broadway.
Wow. That's so funny because the first thing that came to mind was another iconic Jason Robert Brown score, Songs for a New World,
yes.
Which also never went to Broadway. Songs for a New World, it's tricky because it's not a narrative. It's more of like a song cycle. But that music is just fantastic.
Yeah.
You know. And I'm also surprised they had such a superpower cast. They had Billy Porter, they had Andrea Burns in the original cast.
Wow.
Like, you know, and Jason Robert Brown has a lot of clout, although at the time I think maybe that was his first fully produced, but that might not be true. I don't know. Google it. But I love that music. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And who needs a narrative? I'll go on Broadway and just see an amazing like musical theater concert of epic performances.
Yes.
Like I find Songs for a New World so charming and entertaining and thought-provoking and heartbreaking. Like it satisfies all the same things for me. But yeah, very surprised that it never went. Very surprised to hear that last 5 years never went.
Same.
But it's funny that we both have JRB musicals in our answers there.
So good.
Oh, we've only got 2. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. I said a little burp there. Okay, here we go. A little deeper now.
Okay.
Thoughts on the recent March on Broadway? Peacefully protesting is a constitutionally appointed right.
Yes.
And that right should be used.
And also, it does work.
Absolutely.
The day after the Broadway March happened, Scott Rudin was removed from the Broadway League.
I mean, with all due respect, I think that probably would have happened anyway.
Maybe, but there's no way of knowing.
But regardless, protesting is important. I think this protest is well-founded. And I think, as is the case with a lot of protests, usually they're about a lot of things.
Yeah.
This is yes, it's about the union. It's also about racial justice. It's also about Scott Rudin. It's also the fact that Scott Rudin is a symptom, not a cause.
Exactly.
Scott Rudin is a symptom of systemic greed and corruption at the highest levels of Broadway. These are the people who make the most money and who do the least work. Meanwhile, we are dancing and singing our little tushies off for scraps, for nothing compared to what they make.
As a Broadway fan who saw the Broadway March, I thought it was a beautiful thing to see the Broadway community come together, and I also knew that there were a lot of different reasons why people were marching. You know, whether it was Scott Rudin or just like the abuse of power in the industry in general, or all of the equity stuff, which I really did not know a lot about, so it's just fascinating to hear how all of that works. So for me, my thoughts about the march in general were great. I think anytime people take to the streets to talk about an issue that they want to see fixed, or just to spread awareness of an issue, I think that's awesome.
Economic, racial, social, societal, any and all types of justice should have their due. They should have had their due a long time ago, but I think we live in a time where enough is enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing.
And I think any time that all of that can get put on display in a march, I think peacefully, I think it's great.
Absolutely, me too.
Last question.
Wow,
do you want to do the
to be
honors
over.
of flipping the bowl? Nice. What's one standard operation on Broadway you wish would change? The first thing that comes to mind is accessibility. Broadway tickets are really expensive. I am so lucky that, one, I was able to see my first Broadway show when I was 12. But there was a part of me that fully thought, am I ever going to get to see a Broadway show again? Because under those circumstances, I was able to get really great tickets, and it felt like it was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Then I found myself in love with a wonderful actor who went to Broadway twice, and so I got to go see shows with you.
Twice so far.
And we also got to go see other Broadway shows together, because of connections and everything. And so I am so grateful for all of those opportunities. But I also know and have experienced the kind of pit in my stomach when I was looking at tickets to come see you in Wicked during and saw how pricey some were. It's just, tickets are just too expensive, in my opinion. Especially when you have shows like Wicked that like will always have a full house. Like the show's been running for 16 years now, and like will always have a full house. I'm like, you can cut down on these ticket prices, guys.
Well, right, because most of the money from ticket sales
goes
to the top.
producers. Obviously, like when people say they want Broadway to be more accessible, I think that's the biggest thing people are talking about, because it's not like, I mean, obviously there are national Broadway tours of things, which is a great way for Broadway to be more accessible to like the rest of the country and the world. I would love to see a couple more pro shots. I hope that people learn that pro shots are a great way to promote your show. Like, I just don't think that they will ever damage ticket sales. So I want, like, Broadway producers probably to just loosen up a little bit and, like, learn that pro shots are only going to help your show, because it's either going to be a pro shot or a bootleg that people watch. And wouldn't you rather than pay for an HD pro shot that then gets them to want to come see the show in person? Like, so accessibility, but like ticket prices and pro shots, Dad.
Yeah, I mean, you made so many good points that I want to expand upon.
Thank
like,
you.
I think that you're welcome. I think that, thank you, Sam. Really what it comes down to always is people in power need to loosen their grip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Producers, you don't have to be so precious about their product, but again, it's because they're selfish.
Yeah.
If I keep it here and if no one can ever talk about it, that means I'll make more money. And probably not true. We see many entertainment-based business models where sharing more means more profit.
Yeah.
But also, your profit. Like, why are tickets so expensive? Because producers know they can. Doesn't mean they should.
Yeah, they can.
Why do actors get paid so little? Because producers know they can, and because they want to skim the little bit off the top so it can go back into their pocket. Mm-hmm. This is a problem systemically with every single industry on the planet. The people at the top make too much, and the people at the bottom make too little. So for me, it's the economy of it, the equity of it has to change. Actors, stagehands, costumers, they need to make more. They need to be compensated correctly and appropriately for their time. Producers need to let go of the funds they think they're entitled to and of the intellectual property that they think they're entitled to, that they aren't. The entitlement is collective. We all own a piece of this, and we should all get our fair share. You also made a point about touring, and I think this is very important too. Tours are not taken seriously.
Yeah,
they're not taken seriously within the community. Like, oh, well, I'm an actor. I'll do a tour if I have to.
Yeah, that's
and
interesting.
Why do actors feel that way? Because you're treated like garbage on a tour. You have to shack up in buses. You're in hotels, 3-4 people in a 1-bedroom hotel, and it's just like, well, deal with it. You're lucky to be here. No, you're lucky to have me. Performers are gaslit, especially in the theater industry. You are so lucky to be here, and if you disobey, there's a line of people behind you who would be willing to be here and do this. That's manipulation and gaslighting of the highest order, and producers are really good at it, and it needs to stop. That's why people are marching on Broadway. That's why I'm really eager for Broadway to come back, because I think we are at an inflection point in general politically in the world where people at the bottom have had enough of the bullshit from the people at the top. Are we done with the video now?
We are.
Okay. I guess let's say goodbye to them.
Let's. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We really hope you enjoyed part 2 to a Broadway fan versus a Broadway actor. It's a really fun one. It's nice to just get to sit down and talk Broadway with you.
Absolutely. It's nice to sit down and talk anything with you. I love that, like, our job is just sitting here and talking.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
It is really fun. I love that for us.
Yeah.
Guys, as always,
Be sure to like and subscribe,
Daddy. And we will see you all in a future video.
YouTube.
Bye.
Bye, Dad.